I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough.
Can you hear me? Am I okay?
Mm-hmm.
Am I too loud? Let's look at my background. Can you hear me or no? I think we might be having some technical difficulties. Yeah. There you are. I can only hear you, and then you come in and go out.
Don't laugh at me. Don't call me.
Can you hear me now?
What?
She's singing to you guys. I know.
Don't laugh at me. Hey.
Hey, there you are.
Betty!
What's up? Am I too loud on your end?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
No, it's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
I was playing a song. You can't hear it on StreamYard.
Oh, so here I am interrupting the whole song. I'm so sorry, guys. The song was over. I am so sorry.
That's why I have put in private chat.
Is she okay? It's like, what in the world is going on with her? She's ignoring me.
I know. And then I put you up on panel, and then I was like, should I pause it and tell her? And then I was like, I'll just end it early. The song early, but it's okay. I'm here. I made it. I am alive at this point in time.
I personally took a nap earlier. I took a nap and I got myself a cup of coffee. I'm ready to go.
I took plenty of naps the past 2 days. I have slept. Hey, Hindsight. Hey, Mark. It's good to see you. But yeah, it's hot as hell in here.
It's probably because you're sick. You know, it's probably not hot. It's probably because I can't imagine. I mean, Florida's cool. I was cold today at church. So if it's cold in Florida, it's cold everywhere.
I'm in the desert, Betty.
It doesn't matter. The desert freezes too.
It does. It snowed 3 times last winter. Okay. Yes, thank you, Jen. Oh my God, I really, yeah. It would happen. And mind you, this is the 4th time. Okay, I'm over it. I'm done. Do you hear me, germ? Whoever you are. You may no longer enter my body.
What?
I said the germ may no longer.
I'm trying to post this because I think I forgot to post it on my my page. So I was trying to post it and letting people know that we started. But I
Oh,
gotta be honest with you, I just listened to you talk about a germ and I thought it was a troll in here. And then I remembered I was talking about COVID. I'm okay.
yes.
It's late.
I'm like, the COVID germ cannot ever enter my body ever again. It is prohibited.
I am very lucky. I am very thankful. I've never gotten it once. I haven't gotten it twice. Like Olivia, I think Olivia's gotten it 3 times. She's tested positive 3 different times or 2 different
Oh,
times, something like that. I don't know.
are you vaccinated?
Nope.
Is
I don't
she?
I don't I don't even take flu vaccines.
Me neither, but is she?
I think she is. Yes.
That's man, I regret it so much, but there's nothing we can do now. It seems like the ones who got vaxxed are the ones who get it the most, and the ones that didn't get vaxxed don't get it.
Funny
So
how that happens. But
I
that's a
know.
conversation for another day.
I'm just like over it. And it does kind of feel like the flu, but really, I feel like I have the flu and a sinus infection. That's like what it totally feels like. But
Now,
my days,
how's your chest doing? Can I hear it always goes to the chest.
do you have your stethoscope? I'll let you hear.
I
I
actually
mean,
have
we're
a
sitting
stethoscope.
next to each other. Just put it up to my little picture.
Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum.
No, no, my heart. You're supposed to listen to my lungs,
I
silly.
was following by that. You didn't hear me again. You spoke. I went. I went ba-bum, ba-bum.
No, don't do that. Don't go. Yes, where are the coffee beans?
I have no idea. Well, that's probably one of the reasons why right now it's evening. It's evening time. Coffee beans don't really.
Yeah,
I just posted that we
true.
started, so we'll see how many people get in over here. But let's just go ahead and
My
start.
people are probably here already, so yeah.
Oh, no
um,
worries, no worries.
Major John Allen Kaylor. I'm kind of upset about this case because it's in Idaho. It's a quadruple murder
Mm-hmm.
and it's got no media time. The little bit of media time it got, Betty, was what we did, in the beginning when it first happened.
It's
We,
gotten local media coverage, like in their very local area, but nothing really that kind of went further out than that.
but yet we have Lori. Oh, did you know this? Because I forget easy. The north of Idaho is Major John. South Idaho is Brian Koberger. West Idaho is Michael Vaughn, and East Idaho is Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
That's
Crazy.
it's a crazy state for it being so. I don't know for it being so kind of rural. I mean, there's a lot of rural areas out there. There's not. I mean, there are some big cities, obviously, but most of the place out there, there's a lot of driving.
Isn't it kind of like where Dylan, where like kind of around where Dylan Rounds is from, like that kind of desolation?
Yes, there are parts in there that are very much resembles that, but I haven't seen like eyeball to eyeball what Dylan Round's property or area looks like, but I did see
Uh,
some videos and views of it. But there is a lot of mountain, like when we were there, there's a lot of mountains in Idaho, a lot more mountains than I thought there were, because it didn't matter which way we came from, because we went up there twice. One, we came in from uh, Seattle, and the other one we came in at Boise. So both trips required mountain driving.
I hate that. I used to live in the mountains.
And
Um,
slush. Florida girl driving a vehicle in snow, ice, and slush
in the mountain, going.
in the mountains.
Oh no, I, I wouldn't have done it. Nope, I wouldn't have let nobody else do it either. I wouldn't trust
It was
myself or
tough.
anyone else.
There was a time, the
No
very
way.
first trip we went up there, we came in through Boise, so we had a nicer SUV than the second trip. But the first trip, it got really, I kept trucking through it. I was a determined woman, but even our windshield washer fluid got frozen. So like there was ice freezing on the windows, and I had no way of getting it off. So I'm like running the heater trying to get to melt, but I'm a
Oh,
determined woman.
wow. Well,
We
we
made it.
already
We made
know
it on
that,
time.
so we could just imagine. So Jen says that you was doing all this stuff in some flip-flops in the slushy snow driving an 18-wheeler.
Well, there was no, I wasn't there. No, I think it was when I was going up to Georgia. I left Florida. It was a trip when I left Florida, and I was wearing flip-flops here, and by the time I made it to my destination, it was freezing, and I had to sit there and try to get socks and shoes and everything. I had to pull over to the side of the road. I was in shorts and tank top and flip-flops, and I had to pull over to the side of the road and go through the luggage and get sweats, and I was freezing.
That's one thing about flying is because you don't know what to wear, and then in the
Oh,
airplane
I did
you don't know if it's
fly.
hot.
That's right. It was fly. Now that you said something about flying, I think I do remember that. I ended up having there was an incident at an airport too where I left in Florida flip flops.
I wear what I think is going to be hot on the airplane, and then I wear like something to cover up, a jacket or a light coat or something like that in case it gets cold. Because most flights are packed nowadays, it's going to be hot. So you know what I mean. And then you're flying somewhere that's cold, and it's like, now what do you do? You're in flip flops and booty shorts and tank tops. Betty in
Yes,
Florida.
yes, yes,
Let me
yes,
find
yes,
out you
yes. It
wearing
is.
booty shorts.
Oh, I wear
Betty,
booty
let me.
shorts here all day, every day. Like right now. Well, I shouldn't say that. Right now, I've got the leggings on.
Oh my God, Betty, you have pants on.
I did. What do you guys think of?
Holy crap.
Yeah, but those are the only time I wear. As long as they're leggings, I'll wear them because they're thin, and it just, I like leggings because it's simple. I'm around the house. I mean, I don't need to dress up. I don't need to have slacks on, right? So I have the leggings, but the other thing is my shorts. I'm either in booty shorts or in leggings. And my leggings could be full length leg leggings or 3/4, but I'm in leggings. Leggings or shorts.
I don't want to wear anything anymore. I just lost 76 pounds and I hate
Oh,
the loose
congratulations.
skin. Thanks. I don't like it.
Congratulations.
I
Yeah,
have that
that's
dysmorphia thingy, whatever it is, where I still feel fat. You know what I mean? I
mhm.
don't like that. I don't like that mentality I have. And some people say, even the doctor says it might never go away. I'm down to 125 and I was 201. Hey, Julie. But let me
Hey,
ask you a
Julie, nice to
question.
see you.
Let me ask you a question, Betty. I don't
Yeah,
know if you I don't know if your stepkids or daughters or sons, but if they were
they're
young
both
and you were
girls.
okay, if you were out playing with them, right? And you lived in an apartment townhouse thingy and you're out playing with your girls and you look up at your neighbor's house and you see an open window with the sun. Let's call it what Dolly calls it, e-jacking minus the E
Yeah, that's
in the
pretty.
window
And
in front of the
I say
children.
that it was he wanted to put on a show.
Most definitely. I mean, it was plain as day, no curtains, no blinds, no nothing. And I I don't know if he ever did it without them being outside, but that's what this case is about. Major John Allen Kaylor killed a family of 4 because when his wife and his children went out to play. I think they had 3 children. When they would go out to play in their yard where they pay rent to be at, the neighbor's son, 18, I think it was 18, and they had a 16-year-old son.
I've got them right here. Yeah, I think you're
18,
right.
18, 16, I think. The 18-year-old son would just go pleasure himself in an open window, plain as day, exposing himself to the wife and the children. And this happened multiple times. Majorjon called the cops, reported it. The cops were investigating it, but evidently, law enforcement these days, folks, they didn't do it fast enough. So he took it upon himself and did it himself. And he went in, hey, Pink Boberto. And he got mad, took his gun, went through the garden to the neighbors. The parents were outside. 1 bullet to the head, dad's down. 1 bullet to the head, mom's down. Goes inside, sees the 16-year-old. 1 bullet to the head, 16-year-old goes down. Finds the 18-year-old. 20 bullets to the head. Well, he went down on the first one. Yes, he was demolished with bullets, but everyone else got 1 bullet to the head. What do you think
You
about
can
that?
see that. You can see the crime of passion for the intended target. And I think that's important because, we cover true crime, and that's how they are able to, these are some telltale signs of how they're able to find out who the true target is as well.
And then let me ask you this real quick before I forget. We've seen it here on this case, and then we've seen it with Chad Dorman. How you gonna explain everything you did, tell the truth, tell them every single thing, and then plead not guilty?
Well, I actually reviewed the entire case file, and I understand why they. Well, first of all, you're always going to want this. In a situation like that, when you're going into the arraignment, you're always going to want the state to prove their case. You're never going to want to just, until you see what they have against you, until you see what's admissible in court. It is just, it would be bad for you to go right into the arraignment and say, I did it. Have mercy on me.
I understand that. I
wonder, okay. I'm sure somebody has done it in the past. I mean, actually, you're bringing up something that's making my mind kind of start spinning and wondering who has done that, because it's almost like, you almost, even if you want to admit that you've done it and just get your punishment, it's like there's got to be an extenuating circumstance that you'd want to present before the judge that you're not being afforded the right to do so by immediately pleading guilty. Well,
unless they automatically know that they're going to get the death penalty, and then they're like maybe trying to, plead guilty just to get life, or not the death penalty. So unless they're people like Brian Kohlberger and stuff out there, but that's another.
Well, we have to put him up to the classification as Kohlberger, because let's face it, there's 4 dead in Kohlberger's case. There's 4 dead in this case. These both of these cases were senseless. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason why, this seems like almost a mercy killing, a martyr type of situation, where he wants to feel like he protected his kids, but he didn't. What really happened is he allowed his anger and his emotions to override his good judgment. And he made a bad decision that lost 4 people their life because he could not keep his emotions and his behavior in check.
And that happens so many times to good people that aren't bad people, and everybody thinks criminals are bad people, but they just make that one mistake.
That
And
is
it
correct.
just, and people say it doesn't just click. No, it does click. And,
Yeah, but
I
it
know
sounds to
you.
me, yeah, it sounds to me like he just completely, utterly, I think I understand the premeditation aspect of this too. I think he's very lucky that they're doing this, which has to do with the whole failure to give him his Miranda rights at the appropriate time. They did give him his Miranda rights, but I think that's why they forced this into mediation. Um, but with him, where were we going with it? What did you just say before I was talking about mediation? You had just said something and I was wanting to expand on that. And I just lost
I'm
my
the
train of thought.
wrong one to ask.
Oh, yeah, both of our memories. I'll think of it in just a second. There was something that we were getting at. The
Coburn.
premeditation. The premeditation of it was because if you hear his statement, and I've got a statement, some of the facts and the statements that were alleged at the very beginning, he went in the house and actually put his holster on him,
Mm-hmm.
and then went out to out to the garden to water the plants.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was the act of premeditation, because I think it was at that moment he knew that there was going to be a confrontation, and it was just too easy and too emotional. If he had never put that holster on him, he would have never he would not be here right now. It was that act of him putting that holster on him, because even though in his mind he probably just wanted to scare them, but as soon as his emotions and as soon as they challenged him, which it
Mm.
sounds like the mom and the grandfather did challenge him and say basically that their kid could do whatever the heck they want, he was overcame with emotion and anger and rage, and he had that holster on him, and that was it was all over, but the crime at that moment.
And then you're done with, and then you're trying to protect your kids, but now you just took yourself away from your kids.
I don't think he was really protecting his kids. I mean, he wants to acknowledge that for his self, to justify what he did to himself, but he didn't protect his kids. When he protected his kids, he called law enforcement. He didn't think law enforcement was moving fast enough for him.
Right.
There was charges coming for that boy. He was going to be prosecuted. Now, granted, what he was being prosecuted was just a misdemeanor. He would have probably just
Mm-hmm.
got a slap on the wrist and probation, but they most likely would have put no contact, which would have forced him to move out of that rental property. So there is several things. He just didn't wait long enough. And this is not somebody that was there to protect his kid, because there was only one person that was assaulting his kid. One. And there's 4 dead
Mm-hmm.
bodies.
Yeah, I think that if he could have got to the 18-year-old before the other 3 were involved, then he would have just shot the 18-year-old. I don't think he would have shot the
He
whole
had
family.
once he made his mind up, he was to me, that I think that's the reason why they gave him the first degree murder charges. He's only got the second. He's by a Hail Mary. He's got these second degree murder charges and a dropping of the burglary. I think they absolutely had every element necessary for a first degree murder charge. However, law enforcement made crucial mistakes at the very beginning of this case, at the crime scene, at the scene of the crime. The initial officer that detained Majorjon Kaylor created an issue that he didn't intend to. It was an unintended issue, but it
Mm-hmm.
was one that was that caused very much a lot of problems, which pretty much entitled to John Kaylor pleading not guilty, because it looked like because of the mistakes of these officers, his confession, so to speak, would have been technically most likely thrown out of court.
So you know how Lori Vallow, they threw the death penalty off because prosecution didn't turn um, discovery or something over in time. So do you think that this is part of the reason why they didn't go with the death penalty with Majorjon, and also, as you said, the mediation, because they screwed up so much?
Well, I think there are several things going on here that could, it might be a combination of them. It might be just one isolated and not collectively, but there are several things that I see playing here. One is that they have this, it's kind of almost like a insanity police, if you will. It's basically when something, you'll hear a lot of key phrases in the affidavits and stuff, and I'm going to try to explain them as I come up to them. But for this one of the possibilities could very well be that because he was in that argument in that heat of the moment and he was hearing something, it could have triggered something in him, almost had a temporary insanity effect to him, where as long as he acts and behaves in a certain window of time after that, then he can actually take a temporary insanity plea. But Idaho does not have any insanity plea inside that state, but just as a clarification. Another possibility that could affect this particular case would be the extenuating circumstances, which I think is what's going to play key into this particular, because he did call in, that this guy was doing things
Right.
inappropriately in front of his young children. And it doesn't sound like this is the first time. I think he may have actually called it in 2 times, if
Yeah,
I'm
it
not.
happened more than once.
It happened more than once. So he called in, it just wasn't moving. So I think the extenuating circumstances are also pushing this. So I think the extenuating, if you really want my honest opinion, I think the extenuating circumstances and the fact that there were a lot of fatal flaws made at the beginning with those initial officers, I think that it does play into that.
Okay, so give me your opinion um on how law enforcement, if you even read up on it or whatever, like how law enforcement dealt with the issue of the 18-year-old doing what he was doing in front of the children and not
Sure.
quote unquote doing it fast enough.
Sure. So, what we've got here from the sheriff, and this is I'm going to kind of quote some of his statements here. And they basically say that on the eve, Kaylor's wife heard shots. That's the crime background. Hold on 1 second.
I don't know why I don't have a background up. What is going on here? No.
For whatever reason, I didn't cut unless I cut and paste that after. I put all this stuff together and I don't know. There is some stuff here. So he called a 911. The department recommended. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So I do have. It looks like I may have cut some stuff off of here. There it is. So the police department recommended. Okay, so here it is. Kaylor's family called the police to report that the 18-year-old Devin Smith indecently exposed himself from his bedroom window in view of Kaylor's wife, Kaylee, and their daughters. We responded to the call, investigated the call, and the report was done that day and submitted to the prosecutor's office for charges. So they're saying that they actually submitted this to the prosecutor's office for charges. And the Kellogg police chief, Paul Twitt, told Associated Press that I stand by what my officers did, and he did everything he could at the time. Nobody could have foreseen anything like this, referring to the quadruple homicide. The police department recommended that Smith be charged with indecent exposure, which in Idaho is just a misdemeanor. And the prosecutors told the officers the charges would be filed. Here's the kicker, though. At the date of the arrest or the date of this particular article, and I can't remember. I remember this coming out. I want to say it was in either July or October, shortly after, anywhere between July and October, shortly after Kaylor's arrest.
I think it was like 6 months, 5 or 6 months, I think.
Yeah, but then they said that they still had not. They had no record of it. So I don't know if the state attorney just did not file them in the courts for the for the arrest or what, but It seems like something died, and I've been having problems with prosecutors' offices, taking things and just deciding upon themselves that it's not important or anything. But in today's society where we have, a hyper knowledge of the predators that are attacking our children, it's causing almost a disorder, if you will. They just, like he was saying, he has this preconceived notion that this guy is a pedophile, and that's what he wants. He wants to make sure that he cannot hurt his children, because in his mind, that's who he is. Now, it's an 18-year-old boy that exposed himself. I believe it was intentional, because it happened more than once, and the parents didn't really do much about it. But it still is, it didn't rise to the level of that definition for me.
Well, in reality, is there anything that he could have been charged with other than indecent exposure? Because that's all he did, really.
I don't really think so. I mean, there's a lot in different states. You have different elements to like burdens to prove. So like law enforcement can get in trouble if they arrest somebody that doesn't meet certain criteria. So they have to make sure that it's lawful and sound when they do so. And it's hard because, the elements here in Florida for something may be wildly different than the elements in Idaho. Or, for example, we may have laws here in Florida that Idaho doesn't even have. So, it's hard. I don't know, because you're kind of looking at this, you're thinking of the run of the mill. Could it be harassment? Could it be, but it's sexual in nature. So you have to look at that. And I think that really is the only thing that they could, because it's not, he doesn't have a camera. He's not looking up, he's not trying to do anything to them. He's behind his walls in his home, with the windows open. That's really all they've got. And, even that is, the kid could just say, I didn't realize they were down there. I didn't pay attention to where, he could have an innocent explanation for it, and they won't do anything about it. And that's probably why the mom and dad were saying nobody's going to do anything about it, because maybe they did reach out to him and they said it was just an accident. Prove me wrong. I don't know.
I'm really, really new to true crime. So I've never ever heard of this mediation stuff where they go in and they try to settle. And then I guess if they can't, then it'll go to a jury trial. Is that how? I've never heard of it before.
It's used, and it's used in cases. I think that the judge knew that this case could be resolved. There's a lot of problems with this case. I just want to let everybody know. I've reviewed it, and I can kind of see why they're doing all of this. There was a lot of mistakes made. There was a lot of mistakes, and I feel like if they proceed to trial, they could get conviction. But I think that everybody's trying to play nice, because I think it was going to be harder on them. The statement, him basically saying he did it, that was about to go out the window. Did they collect enough evidence on the crime scene? They may have been lackadaisy because they knew they had this in the bag, because the guy confessed, and now his confession's out. Now they've got to prove the case. There's a lot of problems in here, and here's where the issue came in this particular matter. So when they first got on the scene, this all happened. Maybe people don't realize what happened. Just to give kind of a Reader's Digest version of this, as many people know, there was an exposure of this 18-year-old kid, to Kaylor's younger children while they were out in the yard with his wife. They called law enforcement. They, we see that there were some things going on behind the scenes, but Kaylor was none the wiser. He ended up snapping. He just snapped on them. So his wife was sitting next to him at the time, and she ended up running up the stairs because nobody expected him to do this. It was just boom. He just happened to have the holster on him. He approached him. The wife is highly upset because, this is her daughter's, but he starts shooting. She runs upstairs. Well, when he calls law enforcement and basically tells them, I've killed 4 people. I need an officer to come out here. And so him and a neighbor are sitting across the street. He puts his holster and everything into his vehicle and waits for law enforcement to get there. Well, law enforcement gets there. And I think at first, because what I'm reading is the law enforcement was a little stunned at the moment because he just confessed. He's like, yeah, apparently it's almost as nonchalant as that. Like, he's like, yeah, I shot 4 people inside there. And the officer's like, what? You shot 4 people inside there? And he's like, yeah. And you could in the transcript, you could almost see the startling of the officer. Like, he's like fumbling, okay, well, you need to lay down on the ground, put your hands behind your back. And it's just, I don't think that he was expecting. I think he thought it was a prank or something like that. I don't know what this officer, but he clearly, when he got up there, wasn't expecting to find 4 dead, deceased bodies in on this call. But he went ahead and placed Kaylor in the back of his patrol car, and then everything just kind of went crazy on scene. And they forgot to read this man his Miranda rights. And so when they went back in there, he was speaking about the case. And they didn't read him his Miranda rights until much later. So he had all this information. That's where the first problem is at, right there, is those Miranda rights. They're very important. Okay, well, I'll keep going. I didn't even realize. I thought she was there. I didn't want to talk too much.
No, hey guys, I forgot I was muted. My dog came in. And my dog came in and I muted myself. But
I thought you did. I thought you did a Betty where you put that down and ran in there to go get another cup of coffee. If I'm doing a video, I do that. If my mom's talking on the phone, I do that sometimes. I'll put my I'll go and grab myself another cup of coffee.
Mama Bullhorn.
Don't tell Mama.
You already know that. Well, what I was saying muted was that I don't know if you know, but you're here to teach me, so I will have a lot of questions.
Go ahead, shoot them away.
And because this case is like kind of little, but not little, I figured it would be, a good one for us to do so that I can. Because I am new to all this and I'm still learning. And, I appreciate you. Let me just say one thing right now. Please let me say this. I didn't want to bring anything up, but I will right now. All the shit people say about Bullhorn Betty, do you know she is the only one that texted me and asked me how I was feeling since I was positive for COVID.
Aww.
And I don't even know her like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to check on you. I want to check on your chat. Well, I just get, because I hear, even though I haven't been sick with it, I did study it. I chose not to get the vaccine because of everything I read and studied. But I've met people that have had it and it goes to their chest and they said it's horrible. I almost lost one of my county commissioners. He was in the hospital for weeks. I thought he was going to die. He's about my age. He was, he's a politician right now. So I don't want to call him my friend because you never know when I have to take his feet out from under him. But I love him, I do love him and I want to make sure that he's healthy and I don't want anything ever happening to him. But yeah, it's bad. So that's why I was very, concerned. I just want to make sure. And that's one of the first things I asked you too. Is it in your chest?
Yeah.
I just want to monitor that.
When I had it last June, I had COVID pneumonia and I quit smoking cigarettes after that. It was so bad. I just knew I was going on a respirator and I was going to die. I just knew it. That's how bad it was.
I tell everybody to stay off that. Don't you get yourself on a respirator. And this is for anything. This doesn't have anything to do with the COVID. It's just that once your body is used to it's called the, like the iron lung, the chances of you coming off of it, it's just, it's the statistics aren't good. I don't want to be intubated.
Me neither. but I'm gonna knock on some wood real quick because
You
it's not
better.
in my chest and I don't want to jinx myself. Hey, everybody coming in. Sorry, I cannot read chat and pay attention at the same time. So
Also,
I
just
don't.
a little thing, just throw that out there, and it's all natural. Vitamin D. I take like 3 vitamin D pills every single day, in a multivitamin, and I have not been sick in 5 years since I started that regimen.
Now that you say that, let me tell you something. Dumpling got me taking vitamins. And I
Good
like
friend. I'm proud. Hold on, let me do it. Let me do it. Let me do it. I had to push a button.
Sherry. Is that your mom, Sherry? Oh my God. I love you. I miss you so much. She just lost her mom and she's going through a lot. But yes. So I already forgot what we was talking about. All I know is that we heard the clap sound.
Yeah.
And
Well, I was talking about, you were talking about how Dumpling got you on vitamins, and I was clapping for her because that's a good friend.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take these vitamins and do this, that I never do. Maybe I won't get sick. It ain't even been a whole month I've been taking them vitamins.
I do. The
Maybe
vitamin D is what builds up that immunity, though. I love vitamin D. I think vitamin D is just, a lot of people, when I was growing up, everybody was on this vitamin E stuff. But, throughout the research I did in 2019, specifically related to the illness that you have, I found out that vitamin D is an amazing, amazing vitamin. Just might throw that
I
out
thought
there.
it was C. I thought it
No,
was C for
but that's see. I tell you, that it is D. Get yourself a vitamin D. I don't even take. I used to take a C, a B, and a multi, and I used to get sick all the time. I used to be sick. I used to get so upset with my stepdaughter when it seemed like every time she brought the grandkids over, they were sick, and of course, I'd watch them begrudgingly because I didn't want to watch sick kids. But I watched them, and then I would come, and the reason why is I'd get sick right behind them every blessed time. And so my best friend told me about her regimen. She never gets sick. She never, ever, ever gets sick. And so I started it, and for 5 years, I haven't even had a cold.
I'm writing this down. I just want you to know.
One multivitamin and 3 vitamin D. I'm telling you, it works and not only that, but it boosts my energy. I feel great.
And you know what? Betty, you make sense. You're making some sense, lady. Everybody's sick. Vitamin D is I think is the one main vitamin that so many people are deficient in. Because everybody's
Bingo.
inside. No one goes outside anymore. And now that you're saying that, maybe that's why everybody's sick, because they're stuck in the house with all these germs and they're not banning the germs from their body. I'm making you smoke, Betty. I'm making you smoke. Damn. Margaret didn't even make you smoke. Shoot.
Well, because I was on my sabbatical. I've been trying to quit smoking the vape, and I've been unsuccessful because I just got a lot of stress, and I really don't have any outlets. Like people smoke, green and do other things, and I don't. My vice is coffee and nicotine. Caffeine and nicotine. I'm trying to live my teens over again, if you haven't been able to tell. I'm just teening it all up.
I'm doing the same. My body might feel like it's literally 88 years old, but my mind feels like I'm 22.
I'm just the opposite. I think I'm 22, but my body tells me the opposite.
And now that I lost all this weight, I really, really want to do stuff that I couldn't do my whole adult life. Big. You know what I mean? Like,
One of the first
bet
things I
I'm
love
doing
doing
this.
is hiking, because I don't know if you know. I actually give me just a second. I'll bring you a picture.
Okay. No coffee. No coffee, Joe. Rapper, you didn't know my real name? I thought everyone knew my real name.
Let me
Sherry,
see if
you
I
have
can
my
put
number,
something else
girl?
on this real quick. I want you guys to see something. Hold on, I can fix this up so it's only my my picture. Give me just a second. I gotta sticky note this photo up.
We gotcha. Everybody, if y'all could just say prayers for Sherry, please. She lost her mom, and if you've lost your mom, you know how it feels. I don't know how it feels. I don't want to know how it feels, but I'll always be here for her. Um,
So I wanted to show you. That was me. Can you guys wait? Let me take my background
okay,
off.
say it.
This was me a few years ago.
What's a few years, Betty?
When was
Wow.
this? 2014, 2000, no, about 2009, about 2015.
Wow, Betty. What was your weight?
My top weight was close to 200 pounds.
That picture was like 200 pounds?
Yeah. And I'm down to 140 now. So, but it all left my face. But see, back then I was very unhealthy. I drank an awful lot. Even when I left the substances, I started drinking an awful lot. And I could probably do a 12-pack of beer a day. I think we did drink a 12-pack or a case of beer a day after work, as a matter of fact. I was living a very unhealthy lifestyle, period. Like, just unhealthy. Eating entirely too much food, eating out, just clogging my pores with cigarette smoke, just grease and just living an unhealthy lifestyle. And I think it was right around 2016 that I was done with the unhealthy, and I was ready to start moving on.
My biggest weight I was at was 276. And I was always big my whole adult life. I was always big. I was gonna you see how your picture of you big doesn't look like you at all?
I don't think it does.
When I post the picture, or when I show the picture of when I was bigger, everybody's like, that's not you. And the only reason why I'm smaller now is because of the medicine that I'm on for my diabetes.
You know what? Actually, I think I was that weight up until about, I don't know, 2000. I think because it was after because I quit work and went working and worked for myself full time from 2018. So I was pretty heavy even then. So it had to have been about 2019 that I lost the weight.
But I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm from South Louisiana, baby, and we eat fried fish, fried shrimp, fried crawfish. Look, we're talking about Forrest Gump in a minute. Shrimp etouffee, shrimp gumbo. Look.
I told my neighbor, I said, I'm the Bubba Gump of chicken. I can make chicken 1,000 different ways. I could probably cook chicken for an entire month, and you'd have a delicate, you know what I'm saying, meal every single night of the week. I'm the Bubba Gump of shrimp or chicken.
I know. Every time you post your food, I'm like, oh, Betty, gross.
Well, some of the stuff that I tried, like one was the bacon wrapped pork chop. I had never done that before. I was watching a video, giving you guys a video. I learned how to braid bacon on YouTube.
braid bacon.
Well,
I
not
think our
braid.
snack
It wasn't braiding. It was basket. I guess basket weaving
weaving,
bacon on
yeah,
YouTube.
kind of like what they do with the pie. You know what I mean? Like on the pie shells, the little braiding looking like thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I made some pies today. I made a mess of pies today. I probably made about, I don't know, 40 pies today, 40, 50 pies today. 8.
Did
I
you
think I made about 30. Yeah. Sorry.
did you pray for me while you was at church? Because you know what? I asked you to. Did you see that?
I prayed for you, and I prayed. I've got like I don't know who's struggling in my chat. I know I got a lot of people that've had surgery. I've had a lot of a few people that's struggling with cancers and stuff like that. Just seasonal depression, missing family and friends that are no longer with us. So I prayed for a lot of people. But yes, I put you in my prayers, and I know you'll get better soon.
Sorry, I had to let my dog out. All I heard was I prayed for a lot of people, and I really appreciate that.
Yes,
I
I
really
prayed for
do.
you along with everybody else that was struggling. I was there. It was a great service too to be present for. Just very powerful.
I don't know who I was watching, but they were talking about Joel Osteen. I'm not getting into religion and church and all that, but I just want to say one thing.
Wasn't that Dolly?
It
I
was
think that was
Dolly.
Dolly this morning. I didn't hear it. I mean, I heard a little
Yep.
bit about it, but I didn't hear his whole entire statement. But I heard him say, I came back in. I was like in the kitchen and I walked back into the office and I heard something about Olstein.
Yeah. That's who it was. And he was saying, people like that ain't getting into heaven. And then do you know when a hurricane came through, he would not open his church for displaced people in his area. He refused to open his
That
church
just
as a
doesn't seem
shelter.
like that doesn't seem like a godly man to me because
Exactly.
I'm a Christian. I know I'm a sinner. I'm not a pastor or a preacher. If I was a pastor or a preacher, I'd have to have a different lifestyle. I'd have to refrain from cussing. I'd have to be, more nurturing. I laugh at that. More nurturing.
We know the cussing ain't gonna stop. So
neither is the nurturing. I'm like, grow up. But clergymen are different. We expect more from them. And not only that, but Olstein's talking about the good book about God. But, I very rare, I'm sure he does give back. And I know the church gives back. Otherwise, they wouldn't be promoted as much as they are. But I don't understand why any man of the cloth needs to have a mansion and a Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever the heck he's driving. For me personally, if he was doing that, I would think that every person in his community, had places to stay, things to, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a clergyman. He needs to give back to his community, and hearing that he closed his church during the time of people's needs is just, it doesn't seem very doesn't seem like it's in the spirit of the book that he's reading.
No, and you know what? That's not his mansion. That's not his Lamborghini. That's God's. That's what though,
God ain't driving it.
Donating their 10% to Jesus, to not for the pastor to live in a mansion and drive $1 million car. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't want to get into
I've never really liked Olstein.
Okay. Majorjon, Alan Kaylor.
Okay. I'm back. I got it.
There's
what
one
you need?
in
What you
New
need?
Orleans.
There's one what?
What were we just talking about? Joel Osteen.
You got one in
There's one from New Orleans. Dang on snabbit. Jesse. Somebody. He's a fraud. My mom works with his brother. They are not good people at
Mhm.
all. No way, Jose. And it's horrible. They go around preaching the word, and then you take, okay, let's go.
You got to remember that the devil is in play. There's a lot of evil out there. There are, the Bible teaches people about, wolf in sheep's clothing. We've got to, but there's something about Olstein that's always rubbed me the wrong way. I've never listened to him. I didn't like his preaching. I'm just very sensitive to that stuff. And he, to me, whenever I've ever heard him sit there and talk and praise, he always seemed to put on a show. It would seem like a facade to me versus authentic. Like when I go to Countryside Christian Church, those pastors there, they're authentic. And I love that about them. But anyways, getting back to Kate.
Real quick, I also prefer non-denomination because there's nobody that's gonna tell me what I can and I mean, they wouldn't let me marry my ex-husband in church because I wasn't Catholic and all that. So yeah, none of that.
Yeah. I got Catholics in my family. I got Catholics in my family too.
It's crazy.
I love Catholics.
There are too many.
I'm going to say that out loud so I don't get the bull whip, but I love Catholics. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I put that out there on here. So anybody wants to clip it, I love Catholics. Yay!
Okay, y'all got it? Y'all got it good? Okay.
I don't want to get my butt whipped.
I just want to make sure that they had enough time to clip real quick. Okay. Now that it's done, we're going to get back to Mr. Kaylor. Dang on, people. Clip it good.
Clip it real good. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Okay, so we were talking about Major John. Whenever I first heard his name, I was like, oh, what branch of the military is he in?
You know what? The only reason why I came across his name is because I was doing so much research in Brian Koberger that Brian was always at the top. And then all of a sudden there was this Major John Kaylor there. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I open it up and I start reading. I'm like, so I go to the computer and I'm typing it in and I'm looking, I'm like, holy crap, it's a quadruple homicide. But we were so fixated on Brian Koberger, it just didn't get any traction.
I know everyone was so, fixated on Brian Koberger. I follow up with the case, but I won't talk about the case because everybody does. There's, you know what I mean? And like I was right before I went live, I was like cracking cases. Everybody and their grandpa and great grandpa went live about it. All they're doing is hearing the same thing. They're sharing subs. They all seeing the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm like, how can y'all do that?
I just, there's just people on YouTube that just need to get a life. But, like, everybody's like talking about like they're concerned about Allie and Cam and stuff like that. Well, if you're so freaking concerned, why are you bringing it to YouTube? Because if they're in active addiction, what you're doing could push them over the edge. Let me just tell you that, coming from a recovering addict. So if you really want to help them, my suggestion would be get it off YouTube and literally get them into recovery, get them into 90 meetings in 90 days. If anybody cares about their health, instead of just profiting off of it. Just to throw that out there. I'm not a fan of Cam or Allie's. Anybody can attest to that. Don't like them. Don't hang out with them. Don't want crap to do with them. Nothing. None of that.
Oh yeah. Every single time I hear cracking cases or Cam and Allie, the first thing that comes to my mind is y'all at the bottom of the driveway with BK and Cam, and that's what you're talking. That's the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I hear Cam or Allie or cracking cases.
And we tried telling everybody that they were all trash. And look at all three of them now. 2 years later, fast forward. And everybody just thought that they were that we were horrible and they were the best thing since sliced bread. Well, every last one of them now have showed their colors. They have all have problems. But here's what I'm going to say. I didn't go and broadcast BK's stuff whenever he was going through it. I'm not broadcasting Cam or Allie stuff as they're going through it. If people really give a damn, and even that lady, everybody's wanting to call him a scammer and stuff. He's an active addiction. Let's just call it what it is instead of saying he scams somebody out of money. That's what you do. You hustle whenever you're in active addiction. The bottom line is if he can get in help, get in recovery, then they can work on working out whatever needs to be, with that lady later. But right now, him and Allie being dead in a hotel somewhere is not going to fix that other lady's problem. He needs to get into some serious help, and so does Allie. And if nothing more, for their children. And I wish people would take this stuff off YouTube. And if they really give a damn about them, act like they give a damn about them.
Not to get too much off of the subject of Kaylor, but
too late. No. Wah, wah, wah.
One of the first lives I did when I started doing true crime, I started my channel doing drama, take it up for myself doing drama from another community. But then I decided I wanted to change it. So my cousin is an active addiction. My cousin went to college. My cousin used to make $100K a year. He used to shoot up heroin at work before meetings in the bathroom. Make $100K a year. Active addict, heroin. You know where he is right now? Homeless. He's in detox. His PO told him, if you're not in detox by noon, you're going to jail. Yeah. And thank God he did that. One night, my cousin was sleeping and I looked at his hands and they were gray, like a dead person, gray. I was so scared. Like I kept looking to see if he was breathing. Like it's so serious, y'all. This stuff. I was addicted to meth. It's serious. Don't sit here and go live and have 1,000 people watching this while you sit here and say, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. Like that's just gonna make them want to.
It's not. It comes back down to the bitching versus actually doing something meaningful to help the situation. And I can't. One of my biggest pet peeves is people sitting and complaining nonstop and not doing a damn thing about fixing their own situation.
That's right. Yes. Okay. No, Kaz. He is in detox. She. Hold on 1 second.
I don't know when that was, but it scared me. And when we were hearing it, he was trying to wake up Allie and he couldn't wake her up. I mean, she eventually did wake up, but I'm sorry. That's just no matter how I feel about them personally, that breaks my heart. Let me just be honest with you.
It does, because I see what it did to my cousin and how low my cousin is right now. I mean, you go from $100K a year to homeless. You know what I mean? Like nothing.
I spent $100,000 in 6 months on my addiction. So, I mean, I went from having $100,000 in my bank account to asking my dad for my mortgage payment. My parents were flipping out, wondering what the hell was going on with me.
Well, I tell you what, it is not easy at all. I got off. February will be 2 years. 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so back to the thing. I would absolutely love to get Cam and my cousin in touch with each other.
That's a bad idea.
Been there. No, bad.
Bad. You never want to get two active addicts together talking. No, they need to have some time. They need to get a sponsor. They need to be dealing with their own personal sponsor. Two people in active addiction aren't going to help each other at all.
If he's out of okay, so if he's
Mm-mm.
still at a detox,
Maybe if
he's
he had
still
some years,
active
some time
addiction.
behind him. Yeah, you don't, he need, the best advice is do 90 meetings in 90 days, go to detox if you need to, and get yourself a sponsor immediately, and one that has significant time. And when I say old timer, if you are in active addiction and you're going in the rooms the first time and you go in there the second time and it's time for you to start looking for a sponsor, you want the old man in the back of the room if you're a man, and you want the old broad in the back of the room if you're a woman, because those people right there, those old timers, they got what it takes to keep yourself clean. Those are the people you want helping you. You don't want some young buck that's cool. You want those old people in the back of the room that's got some
Yeah,
significant time under their belt.
I get it. I understand. I don't think it's Cam using people. I think it's the drugs using people.
It is. It's the active addiction. It's causing this problem with them. I mean, whenever you're in active addiction, whether you want to do it or not, you're going to find a way to get whatever you need. Period. It is what it is. And unfortunately, this woman listened to their lies, and you never want to blame somebody for being kind-hearted, but let's face it here. You're talking about significant amount of money to somebody you've never met, you don't know personally, you have no real relationship other than an internet relationship. It's just very, probably not the smartest decision on her part to do as well. So, I mean, but she was trying to come from the right place. But you even coming from the right place, you always want to make sure that you never put your neck out too much.
Real quick, I did hear right before I went live, I was in the bushes somewhere listening, but the lady did pay the attorneys herself, didn't give the money for the attorneys to them. So they didn't get all this, $17,000 total of cash or whatever, total. Like she did pay the attorney, herself, and did pay for some, stuff herself, but they did get money. But it wasn't all $15,000 or $17,000 went straight to them or whatever. The attorneys were paid for and all that from the lady. But yeah, so talking about,
well, they did get some significant money from her to buy another place to live, which they did not do. And that was their stability. They have children, and I have to imagine their children aren't with them because they're staying in hotels. And this is just, it's really, it's not good. But you know what? People saw this coming from a mile away, and everybody kept thinking that it wasn't happening. And the people that were trying to say, hey, you guys need to get this boy in check, weren't listening. People were not listening. Cam was showing signs of slipping, months ago. Over a year? The last time he was on my channel. Yeah, it's been a significant amount of time. So we're all watching this. People that are in denial are in denial. I've got to say that people on YouTube have got to quit being so gullible. They've got to quit being so gullible and so easily manipulated and swayed. I mean, I just see this stuff happening all the time, and I feel like if like this lady, if she wasn't so into it, like she should have been an outside looking in and saying, wait a minute, they're having this problem, what's going on here? We're seeing him slurring his words. Maybe I need to step back and let them figure out what they need to be doing personally, and then once they get themselves in order, I'll help them fix everything else. There's got to be some responsibility here versus enabling. Just a little food for thought. But Bullhorn Betty, that's my opinion.
And this channel is responsible for anything BHB says on my channel, okay? Thank you.
Unless I say in my opinion only. Like I'm not saying facts up here. I'm not saying, oh my God, we're gonna go pitchfork them. Bring them down at all costs. No.
I feel unloved, you guys, because I think she's hit the soundboard twice in an hour.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Woohoo! Woo! Hey, little
I got my-
Susie. What are you eating? Oh God, don't choke. Coffee
See,
beans?
When I went to my best friend's job, I was driving back and I drive right by there. I see her car there. So I pulled in and she was just up to her eyeballs. She had no pies in the pie case. So I went out there and I just got behind the counter and started making some stuff. And every time I go up there and I do stuff like that, she's like, let me give you some money. Let me give you some money. I'm like, no. You keep the money, you do your thing. And so I make her pay me in a sandwich. So I get, this is the Jose Marti. It's a pressed, this mojo pork. Oh my God, it's so good.
And I just looked closer to my screen, like I could see that sandwich better if I looked closer to
Oh,
the
yeah,
damn
let me
screen.
tell you, that's nothing but meat, baby. It's nothing but meat.
That looks good. I forgot you did. I forgot I read that you was making pies. You had one over there after church, but yes. So, dear Llama says, can you ask Betty what kind of pie she was making today?
Oh, I made coconut cream, banana cream. I made some. That was the cookies and cream. I made peanut butter. What else I didn't make any baked pies. Like because she had already done the baked pies, which is like the Dutch apple. We have apple pie, peach pie, pecan pie. She even has a minced meat pie, but you have to special order that.
Ew. Well, I guess that would be like a pot pie.
I heard it's everybody says it is an amazing, tasty the minced meat. You lost me when you put minced meat and pie together. I don't want to try it. No, I don't want to try it. Like, no, really, I'm good, Laura. I'm good.
And that's the name of her best friend that has the pie shop. I just want to make that clear, bro. Thank you. I just have to make sure names are. Oh, geez, Louise.
But I gotta tell you,
anyway,
the best payment in the world is a good sandwich. I'll work there 8 hours for a sandwich.
You were there for 8 hours?
No, today I was only there for I think I pulled up there about right before 12 and I left there right before 2. So I was only there for a couple hours to help her. And I was able to push out like 30 something pies.
Oh yeah, you go to the early service.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the late service.
Coffee club, baby.
11:30, baby.
I go to bed at like the crack of dusk and get up at dark. So I'm good.
And I'm up all night and then going to bed when you're coming on. But for some reason, I kept thinking that you go live at 6:30 my time, but it's 4:30 my time.
Yeah. It's
so that's
I'm East Coast.
So that's why I'm like always watching a replay or coming in late or something because I'm either waking up for something or just going to bed. Yeah. I don't sleep hardly. Why don't you eat sandwiches?
I'm aging. I don't normally eat sandwiches, but this is a hot sandwich when it's pressed. It's not hot right now, but it's got mojo pork in it. And I'm sorry, it's the best mojo pork I've ever tasted in my life. But
never heard of it. What is mojo?
It's like it's a pork. It's the way the pork is marinated and cooked, and it's sliced. But it's the pork that goes on Cuban sandwiches. It's delicious. But I just make that instead of getting like I flip back and forth between pressed Cuban and the Jose Marti because the Jose Marti has that mojo pork, and sometimes I just want that pork.
Well, the next time you go over there, I'm calling Laura. You said Laura, right? That's her name. Yeah. I'm calling her and I'm telling her to only make minced meat pies that day, and that will be her payment.
Yes, no, I will not eat it. Anything with if it's a pie, unless it's shepherd's pie, I ain't eating it. I'll eat pie, but not a meat pie. there's only one meat pie I'll eat, and it's shepherd's pie.
Oh man, you need to have meat pies from Louisiana. It's like an empanada thingy, but it's sorry if I sound congested. I'm really not like, full of snot or anything. I'm sorry. I'm just sick.
You're just full of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I forgot what I was saying. I don't know. Cuban Chinese rice. Chinese Cuban rice.
I've never tried that before. But you know what I did have? I used to have this when I was at one of my sober living environments. It was back in 2007. I had this older gentleman, and I actually knew him from the past because I was out and about and everything like that. Well, he owned these party buses that they used to rent around here, and so him and I, could we recognize, we were the only two people that recognized each other because we're from a totally different county. And so he used to make he had this Cuban lady that lived next to him, and she lived next to him for 15 years. And for the whole 15 years that she lived next to him, every morning she'd bring him over some Cuban coffee. This coffee is strong, but it's creamy, it's sweet, it is so flavorful. And you just can't have enough. And I'm telling you, I wired myself up on it. I had one of these things filled with Cuban coffee. If anybody, I was bouncing off the walls. If anybody's Cuban in here, and they know what I'm talking about.
I don't. Oh my gosh, I'm about to. Betty's not gonna like me after I say this. I don't do coffee.
Oh, that's okay. We say bring your beverage, but I'm a coffee drinker. I tell you what, though, I think if you had some of that Cuban coffee, I think you might change your mind. I surely do. It's the I can't describe this coffee. It doesn't taste like coffee. It just tastes like cinnamon creamy. It's just so good. I wish I had him as a neighbor right now. I love the neighbor I've got right now. But with the Cuban coffee, man, I wish I had that. He made that right on. He made that right on his stove. You don't put it in a percolator. You don't put it in a coffee. You cook it.
Okay, guys, we have to find Betty a single Cuban. That's like
only if they know how to make authentic Cuban coffee. Okay, there's some requirements here. We need a taste test. Okay, I will not date without the Cuban coffee taste test.
Y'all heard
really
that?
I could really be turned around on me, couldn't it?
Pebbles answered my question. You said about the Cuban coffee, and I'll be bouncing around because I don't like coffee. And I was gonna say, can I just like dip my tongue in it and then like go clean the house or whatever from that?
When you do Cuban coffee, you're only supposed to drink like this much, and I'm drinking this much daily.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I was bouncing. Well, I shouldn't say that because I was, I think it stabilized me. It helped me keep, the uppity up without having the uppity up.
That dude, I'm so tired of being tired. It's not even funny. And
it's going to be 2 weeks.
I don't want any medicine because obviously I have an addictive personality, and I just, got clean from speed. So I don't, what I mean? I will just stay tired. Because I'm not.
Actually, I tried that vitamin D. I think you'll be. It takes about 2 weeks for you to start feeling like you literally you can start feeling better like in 2 weeks. Not even if you weren't sick right now and you just started taking vitamin D, literally in 2 weeks, you don't even realize how ran down you are until you have your energy back. It's crazy.
Man, if I could have energy, I don't think I would know what to do with it. I would literally sit there and have an attack. So much energy and not knowing what to do with it. Yeah. I don't know.
I like it. I the best part about it is not being sick. I tell you what, I was literally sick. I would say at least a day or two out of every single month, I was sick. Whether I went to work or not, I didn't call off work or anything like that, but I was still sick. I was still under the weather at least 2 days out of every single month. And ever since I started taking vitamins, and I've been, I forget how I used to be sick, because it's almost so far in the distance you forget. But when you look back on it, I used to be sick a lot.
I'm gonna start taking vitamin D. Right? Hold on. I wrote y'all think I'm playing. 12, 17, 23. Wait, I can't put today. I'm gonna put tomorrow.
There you
Start
go. 12,
time,
18.
Start date. If I don't feel any type a little bit better, 2 weeks from tomorrow, Betty, I'm calling your phone line.
You call me. If you're not in 2 weeks, if you don't feel better by your vitamin D's, you call me and tell me, send me a receipt and I'll pay for your vitamin D's.
For you.
I love vitamin D. But I did want to read this. So when we get back on Kaylor, I wanted to read this down, because I've actually got the statement that he made to that officer, that sergeant.
Let's go.
So this is what they have in here. This is under the facts of the case. There's a lot more in here, but where does it say? It says that the call, actually, the 911 call came in at 7:20, and they had officers on the road at 7:24. But Sergeant Bill Blasky, I think is the proper name of him. If I'm butchering it, I apologize, but we're just going to call him Blasky for this purpose. So Sergeant Blasky, he approaches Kaylor, and like a normal officer, if anybody's had any contact with law enforcement officer, what's the first question they ask you when they walk up to you? What's going on here, sir? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So they walk up to him, and so the sergeant says, "What's going on?" And Major says, "I just shot 4 of my neighbors." You what? Remember I told you that whole thing? Mm-hmm. I shot 4 of my neighbors. Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, do," and you can see it stutter because it says, "Okay, do you have a firearm on you?" No, I put it away. Okay, I already called the cops. Drop down on the ground. This officer's just like, "We got 4 bodies inside." What
do I do?
And so you can kind of see this, you can kind of see like what's going on, and kind of how this whole Miranda issue came up, because I think this officer was just caught off guard. I don't think he expected what he was finding. You can already see him, like he's just walking up to this guy saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" And this guy's just saying, "Well, I shot 4 of my neighbors." And he's like, yeah, what? And so that's kind of how this is playing out. Now, you can't hear the expressions, and we don't have the body cam footage to see how this is really playing out. We only have what's, printed here, which is, it can be very calm. It could be they could be screaming at each other for all we know. But he's like, okay, he put it away. He tells him to get on the ground. And Major says, "Okay, my shoulder's broken." I don't know why his shoulder was broken. He's got clearly states in this. Go ahead.
I didn't hear that. I didn't know that his shoulder was broken.
Until I read this, I had no earthly idea. Maybe he was trying to say it's been previously broken. Maybe he had some other injuries there. But he says, "Okay, my shoulder's broken." So I don't know what that means. And he says, "Okay, drop to the ground." And he goes, "That's fine." And then the sergeant says, "You shot 4 people?" And he says, "Yep." And Sergeant Blasky says, "Okay." The neighbor's a pedophile. This is what Major says. "The neighbor's a pedophile. I called the cops twice. They refused to do anything." And then the sergeant interrupting, saying, Okay, don't move." Okay. And then he turns to Hunter Jones and he says, "I'm going to pat you down for weapons." And Hunter Jones says, "Oh, yeah, go ahead." And he says, "She's got nothing to do with this. She's just a neighbor." So that was like a 24-second interaction that happened between that sergeant and Major John when that sergeant approached the scene. Again, I don't think anybody expected the graphic nature of the scene when they pulled up. I mean, even that, just even reading it in that transcripted form, you can see almost the flustering of this sergeant trying to grasp his marbles, like, what's going on here? Are you killed people? Yeah. Oh, okay. Get to the ground. You gotta see
No
almost like Barney
aggression.
Fife. No, it
Yeah.
didn't appear that way. Very calm, cool, and collective.
Just
Which
like I
it goes
said with
into the
Chet. Like,
yeah, but it goes into the psychology of him,
I want to really, really, really watch that body cam footage.
I would too, but it's not been released yet, and I don't think they're going to they're going to release it until after this case is closed out. But they didn't release any. I couldn't even. Did they release the 911? I don't even know if they released the 911 call on this case. I mean, this case has been. Yeah, this was really close to the Vest case. I mean, we're complaining about Brian Koberger's case. Like, this one has a non-dissemination order on it as well, and it's been very difficult because it doesn't have the huge media attention that Brian Koberger does. That it's really been pulling teeth to try to get the facts that I've found so far.
And that's why I wanted to discuss it with you, because I know how deep into Brian Koberger and the Idaho laws, as you are. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about, because you're knowledgeable in Idaho laws.
Well, I'm not really knowledgeable in Idaho law, but I have an understanding, a good understanding of general law, general across the United States law, concept, because that's the way we're taught. We're taught in both community property as well as like state of Florida. I can't even remember. My brain's so fried right now. But what I can tell you about, I know you asked one question, and it was one of the questions that you asked early on up front about the mediation, between the victims of the crime and the defendant. That was a little confusing for you. And not just you, but for everybody. And I'm a little confused with it. It is something that is used in situations like this, even whether people know or not. There are in certain situations where there's mediation, and usually mediation is done by like a retired judge. So it's not like some clerk or somebody that's just a random person that might have some knowledge, or just a paid third party to oversee this. In a case like this, they're usually retired judges, and so they're not they're negotiating a deal. Okay, there's a lot of people think that mediators help negotiate the deal. They don't. All they're doing is facilitating. They're just creating a path for a deal to be made. That's all they're doing. They're making sure that people are talking, that they're still moving it forward. And, for example, like say, let's take it away from a criminal case and say a civil case. So for example, the mediator may be over here and they're like, nope, we're not doing it without $5,000. And they're like, well, would you consider $4,000? Well, maybe that's what you need to do. You see what I'm saying? So they mediate, they give you different ideas and help facilitate a path forward toward a settlement. That's all they're there to do. They're not making the decisions for the party. They're not forcing their hand or anything like that. They're just seeing if there's any common ground that can be had.
I definitely had to look that up, because I was like, how do they pick somebody? Like, is it the judge, of the case that's gonna sit here and mediate this, trying to
No, it's got to be a third party, and it's got to be somebody that's knowledgeable, that has the ability and the knowledge of these types of complex cases. So you just can't take just anybody to do this. It needs to be somebody with knowledge, and so they find retired judges fit that bill in a case like this. I mean, this is a criminal investigate or a criminal court proceeding of somebody that has murdered 4 people. There's a lot of problems in this case. And like I said earlier, I absolutely see why the judge absolutely wanted them to come here, because he did not want to have to try to screw this. I mean, this case is bad. And I don't think the judge wanted to have to play referee on what could stay and what could go. And I think that they were on a losing end. He needed to be behind bars. He did some horrible things, but law enforcement, they dropped the ball and made mistakes. And in this particular case, I think it could have cost them a lot of time, money, and a case. So this was the right thing to do. I think the judge knew that, and that's why he was so adamant. We never hear judges almost forcing mediation upon parties in a criminal case. But if you notice, the judge did just that.
Yeah. I think they will come to, I mean, what other deal are they going to come to? He's going to get life, and there's nothing else to talk about.
Well, and I don't know about that either. Well, he most likely is going to get life without the possibility of parole, or life with the possibility of parole. But his charges were downgraded to a second-degree murder. So that, and the first-degree murder penalties and the second-degree murder penalties, from what I'm understanding and reading in Idaho, they're about the same, if not exactly the same. Maybe not the wordings, so to speak, but it's 10 years to life without parole on both of those counts. So I think it's just kind of wordplay to drop it down to a second degree. Well, probably the criminal and sentencing guidelines as well, dropping it down to the second degree. But what I found very interesting is in this mediation deal, rather, they didn't agree on sentencing. This is going to be interesting because they did come to the agreement that he was going to plead for the lesser charges of second-degree murder, and that the burglary charge would be fully removed. So now he's only got the 4 second-degree murder charges. But how they crafted this particular plea deal is they didn't have any sentencing recommendations, which is interesting. And that must have been the caveat. That might have been what was keeping this deal from moving forward. And that might have been the path forward, the facilitation, the mediation of this that got this deal done, where they said, look, we'll agree to the second degree, but we're not going to agree with any sentencing guidelines. He's at the mercy of the court. And so that's basically how they've got this right now, is that he's going to plead to these 4 second-degree murder charges, and he's going to be at the mercy of the court. He's going to have to plead his apology, his remorse. He's probably going to have to clean up this whole pedophile. He can't go to a judge saying that this 18-year-old victim that you just brutally murdered is a pedo, when he has never been convicted of a crime. And that's just your opinion because he exposed himself at a window. There could have been more going on there. We don't know. So I hope he does clean that up. I hope he does show his remorse. I think I don't believe this man intended to go out that day and kill these 4 people. I think he made some terrible decisions. One, feeling hard and emboldened enough to put the holster around him to go out and water the plants. It's almost as if he was almost preempting that there would be some type of confrontation in which that he would need to defend himself. And he put that defense on before the confrontation was even there. So there's a lot here with this case. I think he right now is lucky he is not facing a death penalty. I believe that it has a lot to do with the mistakes that were made by law enforcement.
See, this is why I can't read chat while I'm listening at the same time. I wanted to ask you a question, though, before I forget again. I need to write questions down. I don't know if you noticed, but his arraignment was a very long time after he was arrested. Why would that be?
You know what? There's a number of reasons, but I can't for the life of me think of what the reason would be for that. It'd have to be. He would have had to have waived his arraignment, his speedy arraignment, or something like that. He would have had to waive something, in my opinion, or there may have been some hiccup with his charging documents, possible. I don't know. I don't know if the charging documents would rise to the level of the. How many days was it from that to his arraignment? I didn't check. Was it like
Months. It was
yeah?
months.
Because I think
It
his
was.
arraignment was what, in November? Is that right?
I don't remember. This is happening so fast.
Yeah, because
This
I'm
case.
pretty sure this all happened in I've got it on my notes, July, June. So this was in June. I think that was right. I think it was like October or November when he had his hearing. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I've got it in here for the court
He just
proceedings.
had a hearing, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah, he did not. Well, it was on the. I think it was on the 14th or the 15th, something like that. But this is what I've got under my notes for the proceeding background. I just said Kaylor pled not guilty to all the charges. The prior trial was supposed to start in January 2024, which was vacated because Kaylor waived his speedy trial rights.
Mhm.
On the amended schedule, the jury trial was set for March 4th at 9 a.m. with the possibility of extending it to May 15th, and that was pending the outcome of the mediation. Around December, there were 2 stipulations between the state and the defense that the court had to consider. One was granted and one was not. The extension to have additional time to review the discovery was denied. The second one was for the mediation, which appears to be successful because a plea deal was reached. The mediator, and this is where I kind of go in there, it says doesn't decide for the parties, they mediate. I figured that would be a question, so I went ahead and put that in here. And it's like the role of the mediator is very limited to only facilitating or paving a path for a settlement between the parties in a criminal case. The mediation was conducted by Honorable Jay Gaskill. He's a retired district judge. Gaskill worked with the parties involved to find a resolution. They did find a resolution. The court documents state the parties must make reasonable effort to exercise good faith during the mediation. I mean, this was strong. That's why I grabbed all this because like you said, it's not a very common practice for this mediation, especially forced mediation from the judge. And I don't want to say forced mediation, but it was. He said you go to mediation first, and you either are successful or you're unsuccessful, and then we'll come back here depending on the outcome. He forced him into mediation. So this criminal case was messy. This case was littered with problems from the beginning to the end. Gaskill is required to file a report for mediation concludes. The report inform the court if the parties fail to comply with the mediation. If the parties can't reach a mediation agreement, the trial will proceed January 8, 2024, which was again vacated as previously mentioned above, and it was vacated, and March 4th was the new one that was set.
I think they will probably come up with something during mediation, but I really wanted it to go.
Oh, they already did. They already got the plea. They already got the plea deal. The plea deal, like I said, it was.
Oh, they did it already?
Oh yeah, it's already done. They've already got him.
I thought they needed
he's going actually tomorrow. He's going to court. He's going to court to change his plea. He's got a court hearing tomorrow, the 18th at 3 p.m. and it's to change his plea. So he's going to be most likely pleading guilty to these 4 counts, and then tomorrow, he after that, they're not going to sentence him right then. They're most likely going to schedule his sentencing hearing to come back to be sentenced. And this is going to be his opportunity to speak to the judge and tell the judge he's remorseful, he's sorry, and ask for the mercy of the judge, because that was part of this deal. Is they're not going to assess or recommend any type of sentencing to the judge. The victim's family wants the judge to hear them, and the defense wants the judge to hear Kaylor. And once those two sides are, it's going to go back, and it's going to be up to the judge to decide what his fate will be, what his punishment and sentencing will be.
I thought I swore it. Well, maybe the 16th was the deadline for something. I don't remember. I didn't know that.
Didn't know what.
That they had already came up with a deal
Yeah,
and
it
that
was a few
he's
days. It was a few days ago because this was dated. The mediation settlement agreement was dated, or at least electronically filed on 12/13. So about 3 or 4 days ago. But you were getting sick at the time, so you probably missed it or didn't hear about it. But yeah, and it's just basically saying that they're reducing the 4 first degrees down to second degrees and removing the burglary charge.
Do you think he would get
And
less than life?
to be honest with you, here I've been back and forth because I asked myself that as well. You know, what do I think the judge will do in a case like this? And I pondered this case, and unfortunately, this is how I'm looking at it. Had he had a confrontation with the boy that was doing this to the kids, and during that confrontation, he kind of had this temporary insanity moment where he just lost his mind, and within 30 minutes, he gunned this guy down, and that was it. You know, it was that temporary insanity moment, and the boy, the 18-year-old boy that did this, is the only one dead. I would say, you know what, he'd have a really, really good opportunity here to go before the judge and plead his case, and the judge, you know, have sympathy on him and maybe give him something like 10 or 15 years on the second degree murder charge of that one
I
person.
agree.
But in this situation, you have a 16-year-old boy that did nothing wrong. He was a student in a school. He was a child. He was under the age of 18, and he was brutalized while laying on the floor in his living room, or his bedroom. I can't remember. I think it was his living room. I think I read that the 16-year-old was in the living room in a prone position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
the 18-year-old was in the bedroom.
Bedroom, right. And so the 16-year-old was obviously the third person that got gunned down. And God knows what he saw. God knows if he saw his grandfather and mother get killed. But either way, it had to have been horrific for him. He did nothing wrong. The mom did nothing wrong. The grandfather did nothing wrong. All they're doing is arguing on the benefit of their grandson, you know, or son. Do I agree with everything? No, I think parents need to take responsibility. And when your child's doing something wrong, if they're 18 years old and they do not want to follow the rules, then it's your responsibility to teach them a hard lesson. And I think a lot of parents, they're too busy trying to be friends with their kids instead of being parents in some situations.
Especially these days. Sad.
Right. And so you create this problem where you've got kids that are being very and highly disrespectful to other people, and you expect the other people to have to deal with it. And I'm sorry, this world is getting crazier and crazier. And I really wish, you know, not to blame the victims, because we don't know if that story is even true either, right? That's the story. All the people that can tell that side of the story are dead. So we're getting information from Kaylor that they said there's nothing you can do about it, almost as if they were taunting. We don't know if that's true. Let's face it. Everybody that can defend themselves from that house are gone.
Mm-hmm.
We're only getting one side of the story. We're not getting both sides of the story. Either way, grandpa, mom, and brother had nothing to do with what that man did. He didn't touch those girls. He didn't abuse those girls. He didn't leave one mark on those girls. We don't know why he was doing what he was doing in front of the window, but it didn't rise to the level of his entire family being executed.
But yeah, they were, except the
and I think the judge.
Someone in the chat said that he was mentally challenged, maybe slow. What was the?
If that is the case, that would be the first time I heard about it.
Let me see.
But I've been reading, you know, court documents as opposed to like news documents. You know what I'm saying? So Those
Oh,
things
maybe I
would
read it
probably
wrong.
be
Let me see.
okay.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to do anything because he was challenged. It's like he had no control.
Well, then that might play
I
into it as well. I mean, if he's challenged and doesn't understand, then he's challenged and doesn't understand. It's not his fault.
but see, that's what I don't I get so in myself when I think about it because it's still not okay, even though, you know what I mean? Even though it's not his fault per se because he's sick, but these little girls saw that. Like I
Yeah.
just don't.
Oh, I get
I
it.
get
There should be something that was done about it. And like I said, even if he is challenged, the parents shouldn't have. And again, we're going off Kate what Kaylor said that the mom and the grandfather said. We have no proof that they said that they were taunting him or said my son could do whatever the heck he wants to do. That's basically what he said. I just don't see parents acting like that. Good parents acting like that. Now I could be wrong, but I personally don't see somebody reasonably approaching another parent and saying, "Hey, look, we've got to figure something out here. Your son is exposing himself to my young children, and I can't have that again. What can we do here?" Somebody coming up to a neighbor and talking to him like that. I don't understand how in the world it got escalated where 4 people got killed. But
I
I will
don't
tell you this. I will tell you this. Kaylor, when you look at him and you hear the words that come out of his mouth, he seems like he's kind of hardened, like um I don't know how to express it. Like one of those people that would be willing to be putting himself in this position because somebody disrespected him. He seems like that kind of person. I don't know if
Yes.
that's you know what I'm saying? So he seems like
Let
that
me
kind of person already.
let me pull up a picture of him in case anyone has. Now that you say that, and I'm thinking of
Mhm.
his picture.
Yeah. He looks like the kind of guy that's already, and we know not every person that's hardened like that goes to jail for murder, but they're the ones that they don't mind whipping your butt if you disrespect them. But he's got a loaded gun, and clearly he's got a fused personality because normal people let the law handle situations like this. They don't, call in twice and then just execute a whole family. That's it's not normal.
I'm pulling up the picture right now. Alright. Alright. I don't know how to make it bigger. I can't click on it.
Uh, you should be able to click on it.
Visit
Let's see
site.
here. Oh, because you're on Bing. There
There we
you
go.
go.
Can you see it
There.
now?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got you can tell he had the big hoops in his ears. He's got the tattoo on above his eyes. And it's not like that means a lot, but professional people don't have, tattoos above their eyes and big, holes in their ears.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already showing you he has maybe a construction lifestyle, a different type of lifestyle, a hands-on lifestyle versus an so I don't know. He looks like he's hardened.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know he can. He looks like he can do a year in solitary. To be honest with you, even though it's sad to say, that's how Richard Allen is living, I do believe. But
I'm curious about his criminal
yeah, he
background
definitely.
because he
I would
does,
like to
like you
see his
just
rap
said.
sheet. I said that at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We both said that at the same time. I said rap sheet. You said background.
Yeah.
I know. I want to know what his rap sheet is too, because he definitely did a stint or two. Don't know if it
Yeah,
was
but this is
prison or
the
jail.
Yeah, but this is the thing is I was watching him at some of his trials because I got some of the YouTubes pulled up here and I was just kind of looking at him and just observing him. And he seems kind of blasé about it. Like, while they're in there talking, he's kind of, kind of down like this, just kind of chilling, he's just kind of chilling over there. He doesn't have really any remorse on his face. He doesn't have any frustration on his face. He's just kind of sitting over there listening and taking it all in. But it's just his body language of just being kind of blasé. I would think that somebody that for the first time going before a judge and this being a murder trial, that they would be
Yeah.
more intently listening and trying to follow along with what's going on. I mean, it's their life on the line, and he's not. He's just kind of, just kind of looking around, just kind of like, okay, well, here we are.
Yep. Like, here we go again. This time
Yeah,
it's not, I'm not coming home. So it is what it is, I mean, he knows what he's got to do. He knows he can't get out of it. And what else is he going to do?
right.
Sit there and fight with them. I mean, he's got to do it. So he may really feel remorse for what he did. He may. He
Yeah,
probably don't, but he may. And still have that hardened not undertone, but look like, like you said, blase blah, like whatever it is, what it is, with your head down, showing no remorse. But that's just the mentality you have, especially when you're institutionalized or almost that way. That's just like the mentality that you have. Is like, that's it.
yeah. But see, the thing is they did like this should not be the way it is right now. They did everything the right way as they were supposed to do it. He lost his shit in the final hour, and it really sucks because if he would have just let this play out, that kid would have been charged with something. It would have been in their benefit because at some point he's going to have no contact with the victims. He would have had to leave that apartment by the court order. If they would have just pushed, just kept those. I mean, granted, look, I understand it's inconvenient, but you know what? The mob could have taken precautions and taken the kids to a local park instead of letting them play outside of the backyard. Is it an inconvenience? Yes, but it's protecting their children and it's giving law enforcement. There were so many other decisions that could have been made in this situation, and I think the judge is going to have to weigh on that. But I do, coming back to the judge question, I do believe. I was hopeful that he would only get 10 or 15 years, but when you look at the gravity of the situation that we're looking at and all the extra bodies that are associated with him that should not be, that were not, did nothing wrong and lost their lives senselessly, I think the judge is going to have no choice but to give him life without parole. I mean, I just don't see it any other way because 3 of those victims were, I mean, even the kid that exposed himself, he's still a victim. I mean, he no matter what he did, he didn't hurt anybody. Did he do something that he shouldn't have done? Yes. Did he physically hurt anybody? No. And he was literally gunned down for a misdemeanor charge.
Gunned down is the very appropriate word, and I wanted to say something, and I totally just forgot what I wanted to say.
That's okay. You're sick, and I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've been up since like 4 a.m. I got an hour sleep this afternoon after I got back from church.
Don't you know you're not supposed to go to bed on a full belly?
I know. Well, I didn't eat when I went to sleep. I didn't eat. I just got back from Laura's and I sat in there. No, I guess I did have a half a sandwich. I'm eating the other half now. So, yeah.
Well, Jen did tell me that you had a busy, long day. So I do appreciate you coming up here. Absolutely.
Yes, and I want to say this. I want to say this before I go. Like the coffee club, we rocked it out for a little 8-year-old boy's Christmas. We had a lot of controversy around us trying to provide a Christmas for a little 8-year-old boy, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we were able to not only raise $125 for his mother, we were able to get him almost everything that you could imagine under the sun, from toys to clothes to shoes to underwear and socks. I mean, you name it, we got it. And I really believe this boy is going to have a beautiful Christmas. And I just want a big shout out. Thank all the coffee club members, which you're a part of. So thank you as well.
Coffee club is the bomb, y'all. Just too early for me. It's because
I know, but you still watch it. You're still part of the coffee club because you still watch it religiously.
I know what it is. If I start drinking coffee, then I can make it to the coffee club lives.
There you go. See, we're going to rub off on you sooner or later. You're going to be bouncing off the walls and having vitamin D. You're going to have so much energy, you won't know what to do with yourself.
I need it.
Yes, but I will tell you, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you covering this story. And I know it's not really a hot story, and but it is a story, and it's a story that I think has a lot of information from. I'm glad to see that these prosecutors and the judges and the judge in this matter are taking this seriously. And not only that, but they're really trying to work for a resolution that's not going to cost the taxpayers an arm and a leg to boot. But again, I really truly believe it has to do with this case, with the litany of problems in this case. This is not a good case. I don't think they would have. The prosecution wouldn't have won their case at a first-degree murder charge based on the fact that his statement would have been thrown out. I guarantee his statement would have been thrown out.
I try to bring out cases that no one else really talks about, because it's not fair that the little guy gets, pushed into the corner because there's a bigger story.
Yeah.
Or, everybody covers the one big story, and it's like there's other people out there that need our help.
The problem is you got to find a way to attach them to the bigger cases to bring attention to them. Because what I found when I first started out, you can try to bring as much attention to cases that aren't getting attention. But the problem is, the reason why they're not getting attention is because the audience doesn't have the attention for them. So when I find, like for this one, this would have been a great opportunity for media and social media to be attaching this to Bryan Kohberger. They didn't do it. This could have been a much bigger case and got out a lot further had they done something like that. People call it clickbaiting and stuff like that. It doesn't matter, because, like a story like this is a great story. This is a great, not a great story, but that's not what I'm saying. As far as learning, it's a great story to learn from. Because you're learning details and you're asking the right questions. Like you had a lot of questions that pertain to why do you think that they pushed it in mediation and stuff like that. This is a great case for that. Like, we don't hear a lot of criminal cases going to mediation. And that was a great question. Why? It's because this one's filled with a litany of problems. And the only way they were going to get to a good resolution is mediation.
Well, I'm glad that they came to a conclusion. So we don't have a sentencing date yet, right? Tomorrow.
No, tomorrow's going to be him. Majorjon just changing his plea. So he's most likely going to change his plea from not guilty to guilty and agree to the plea deal. And of course, just like we had a deal with Creighton Waters and stuff like that on a plea deal, they still have to go through their entire plea arrangement and the evidence that they have to garner that, because they still need the judge to accept it. Just because they've arranged this plea deal behind the scenes doesn't mean that the judge has accepted it yet. So he's got to go up there and he's got to change his statement from not guilty, to guilty, and then they're going to be reducing. They've already reduced the charge. They've already got the motion. It was just recently filed, the motion to dismiss and the order regarding the motion to dismiss. And this is basically dropping the first degree in the burglary. So he will be going in there changing his plea to guilty now that they've already got the charges corrected. And then he's going to be at the mercy of the court.
I didn't know that after they come to a conclusion in mediation that has to go in front of the judge. I thought it was like all just like done with. I didn't know they had to go in front of the judge again, and he has to approve what came out in the
Yeah.
in the meeting. But however, it does make sense.
Yeah, well, you know what? To be honest with you, we are dealing with, for example, a great one is the Crystal Rogers case. You know, Steve Lawson he was the third person that was just arrested in her case, and he was working on an immunity deal with the FBI, and obviously the FBI, according to him, basically he's got railroaded by the FBI by the plea deal, and it's well, I guess that wouldn't be the best one to go with, because that one hasn't been before the judge yet. But there is one that went before the judge, and I can't remember. It was something recent here too. Maybe one of my people in the chat can remember, and I can't remember which case it was. But they did the plea deal. The person confessed to the crime, and the judge would not accept it, and threw the book at him. Like, I think this person was supposed to get like 10 years and ended up getting like 20 or something like that. It was crazy. But they've been known to do that. So yeah, it's got to go to the judge. It's got to go to the judge. The judge got to hear you. And just because he hears you and he listens to you doesn't mean that it's a guarantee. I mean, even these plea deals aren't a guarantee. Because this judge forced this party into this deal and they're coming back with second degree, I think the judge is going to accept it.
That's what I was going to say too.
Mm-hmm.
Since the judge was pushing it, for them to do this, that there's probably no way he'll deny it. Another thing I wanted to ask you is this. So, Kaylor case, hardly any media coverage on YouTube, on social media, just local coverage. Now, the big cases like Koberger, Fallow, Daybell, they have major issues in these freaking cases with court and everything else. And the media is involved and social media is involved. Do you think that has anything to do with the issues that a lot of these cases have, is social media and what they present out to the world?
I think a lot of the problems that we're having is a lot of people making stuff up as fact. And I'm not just saying here on YouTube. I've got to be honest with you. One of the biggest platforms that I've seen the peddling of misinformation that was so egregious, believe it or not, was on TikTok, not even YouTube. And I do think that, social media does create issues. I think social media also can solve issues as well. But I think people need to be very careful and cognizant. I think it's common sense for anybody to think, if you haven't stepped foot out there and all you're doing is reading articles, you probably don't have a lot of information at your disposal. So, there's a lot of conjecture, and people don't want to acknowledge that there's conjecture and that there's a lot of opinions and speculations. People want to be the first to have stuff out. Yep. And so they don't stop to look at what is really true, only what they think is true. And that always comes back to bite them in the ass in the end.
Absolutely does. And that's why I'm so little. And I have, Laura says, 6 followers, but that's because that's how I like to be too. I like to be, tell the truth and the facts, and I don't want to sit here and say something that I don't know about. And that's why I have you up here now.
Yeah. And you know what? And also just a little food for thought, Sweet Misery. Do a lot of research. You do research on these cases. Start doing research on SEO optimization, because you want to get outside of YouTube and start bringing people in from other areas to your YouTube channel. You don't want to be beholden to any one creator's subs or anything else. You want to have your own path, and you want to blaze your own path. So work on that. Honestly, the SEO optimization, I think, is going to be what helps any creator. So any creator that's out there watching this right now, that's my suggestion, is be more creative with your SEO optimization.
SEO.
SEO, search engine
SEO.
optimization.
Okay. Well, I know that you are, I mean, who else would go pro se in a case if you're not knowledgeable in,
I'm learning about
law in
SEO
some type of
optimization.
way.
I'm a novice, or I'm an amateur when it comes to SEO optimization. I'm just now starting to get into it, and of course, it's been beneficial. I can see the benefits on my back end on the analytic aspect of it, of new people coming over as opposed to like returning and stuff like that. So I think that and I was working on it on the other channel. So I it is helping. It's just learning it and digesting it and understanding what each and everything that you're doing is doing. And that's where it gets a little difficult, because I have an old brain, and my old brain is not wanting to learn new stuff.
Do you know that I am older than you?
No, I did not know that.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like an
think
old
we're
geezer
the
some
same
days.
age. Okay. I think
I'm
we're the same age.
44.
I'm older.
Okay, well, you won it. And I gotta say that.
Bullshit detected. Take precaution.
I don't believe she's older than me. I don't believe she's older than me. No, I'm just joking.
I just turned 45.
Oh, nice. So we're
45.
about the same age. Yeah.
Yep. So let me see. I was trying to get this over before Turtle Island started, because I told you, I was like, we can't do Sunday because everybody goes to Turtle Island.
Yeah.
So,
but
but
Turtle
I
Island should
wanted
be
to
starting now, right?
Yeah, it just did. So I was gonna wrap this one up because I didn't even know I was gonna make it 2 hours, you guys.
There you go. I'm a talker. I always, I don't know. I like doing true crime. I like the curiosity of it. I like the understanding of it. But, I'm a legal person. So I like seeing these legal arguments. I like seeing the strategy. I like, and I like trying to figure out, what's going to happen next. Where is it going to come from? And I try to find the information that's going to lead me down those roads.
And I'm the one that's like Googling every word because I don't know what it means. And the court documents, so I'm Googling all of it to write it down. And,
the best thing you should get is a Black Laws dictionary. They're a little expensive. They're not like you can't use Webster's dictionary or anything else. If you're going to be in true crime, and you're going to be covering trials and cases and stuff like that, and you're going to be you need a Black Laws dictionary. You just need it. It's something that's invaluable. And you can look up Black Laws stuff online, but it's much different when you're there reading something and being able to flip through that damn book, as opposed to going on, because you're right there on the screen. Trust me, that Black Laws dictionary, it's a good dictionary. It's a little expensive, but you can use it for years and years and years to come. So
that's what I noticed too about you, is that I read everything on the computer as to you print. So I was thinking maybe that would be easier, for me.
It's because I've been in law, I've been in accounting, I've been and those are all the things that you need to print out, look at, review, digest, write on, and everything like that. I never quite got that. Like, I type, all my documents are typed, but as far as, when I do my research, I like to have hard copies. I like to read. I like to, as I'm writing, to be able to write down my thoughts versus typing them out. But when I'm typing stuff, I type faster than I write. So I like to type things out, letters and everything else. Old dog, no new tricks.
Yes, I cannot stand new technology. I'm like, dude, will y'all please stop and bring us back to the 90s? Gosh, something.
I don't want to go that far back. I'll be honest with you. Okay, that's before, like, cell phones. I'm addicted to my cell phone now. Don't take it away from me.
No, I miss going to the my friend's house, walking to my friend's house, and then her not being home, so I have to walk back and then call on the landline, and she's home. So
I thought it was the coolest thing when I got my first see-through phone that lit up in all the different colors. I thought I was the coolest kid on the streets. I remember I went and got that extra like 10-foot long cord so I could have the phone over on my, by the plug and stretch it all the way across the bed so I could talk on the phone while I was watching TV. Oh, how cool is that?
Or sitting at the radio for hours waiting for your song to come on to hit record.
Oh my gosh. I remember calling into all the radio stations. I can't even remember what songs I liked back then. I'd be a kid, the parents were out on a date. We had the babysitter and me and my friend would be on the phone calling Q105. Would you play? We just want to tell you we love you. This is a shout out to Andra and Rachel from Q105.
And how many times did you have to call just to hear that?
I don't remember, but I think we drove the guy nuts. This is back in the day when you called into the studio. So usually the disc jock was the person answering the phone.
And he probably knew your voice.
I think finally after like the 12th call, he's like, yeah, this is a shout out to Andra and Rachel from Q105.
I would be
I'm gonna get these little girls off my phone.
Q105 wants to shout out Rachel and Andra at the beginning of the show. That way you don't have to call 50 times to get through just to tell him he already knows. Hey, Andrew and Rachel, what's up? We can start the show now. Let's go. Oh, the real Me Too says we used to call into the radio station. Now we call into Dolly.
I was gonna say, yeah, his voice sounded similar to Dolly. He had the Dolly radio voice. Dolly, was I talking to you when I was 4 years old? I want to find out because I hear you're this red dot guy, and I just want to make sure you weren't doing funny stuff when I was 4. I'm just joking. Dry sense of humor.
As long as Jimmy knows it's a joke, I don't care. I mean, y'all got a friend, you know what I mean? Y'all have a personal friendship. Y'all, I don't know.
Excuse me. He's been a good supporter, because he knows me. I mean, people that meet me, like like half of my mods, and I think there's only like maybe 2 or 3 mods of mine that I've never met personally. Everybody's met me personally. Like what they've been saying online just because I didn't address it. I just figured people would see on their own that, I can't possibly be this monster they're saying. But apparently there's a lot of people on here that just are very desperate for friendships. So they're willing to listen to anything to have one.
Hey now. I listen to everything but in the bushes. I just keep it.
No, that's in the bushes. These people were participating. You got freaking great Aunt Millie over here. She's in there making cookies for her great grandchildren while she's bashing Bullhorn Betty in the chat. I'm like, what the hell?
I can't deal.
What is wrong with these people?
How about at the bingo
the caring,
hall?
nurturing great grandmas clubbing Bullhorn Betty over the head? Well, for what? Can you imagine that? And I feel bad because it's like, you know what? If you put her grandchild in my position, I guarantee her whole argument would be completely opposite.
Well, they never do. All they're worried about is just, and you know what pisses me off the most is that the shit they're calling you out on, they do.
I've been saying that for 2 years. I'm like, you guys are sitting here saying I'm doing something I'm not, that you're doing. But everybody's like, oh no, it's you, Betty. You're doing it. You're doing like, are you guys delusional? Do you live in the fucking, excuse my language, the effing Twilight Zone? Like, where do you guys come from? Mars? Like, where am I doing all this horrible shit? I've been sitting on for 2 years or for a year. I don't know where I have time to do all this horrible stuff. Like, they think I'm like this master MacGyver illusionist. I don't know. I give up. I'm something.
Well, you can thank them because I watch you more now that they started trolling you, and I just don't think it's right at all. And as I watch it, I sit here and literally, like, since I've been sick, I'm watching it. I'm like, they're fucking hypocrites. That's all
Every
they
last one of
are.
them. And well, look at, I mean, if anybody just took the time and unplugged from them and go back to the beginning, they will see it clear as day what it's all about. And trust me, it has nothing to do with me protesting outside of a 20-month-old's house. It comes down to greed and money. That's what it all comes down to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now that
And jealousy
Wells
or whatever. I don't know why she attacked me or why she wanted to take my channel down. I have no idea, but she did. And you know, she was they were very manipulative and very, very strategic and conniving and concocting. And you know, God willing, I'll prove it in a court of law.
I don't know. The hate just needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It's
unhealthy. It's
uncalled for.
unhealthy and it's dangerous. What happened to me the other night here at my house with law enforcement could have turned into something totally different. What if I was sleeping and didn't answer my door and they come in and I've got my gun next to me and I'm none the wiser. Like, these people do not think, and this happens all the time to other people here on YouTube, and it's got to stop. It's dangerous, and people have been killed from that very practice.
Mm-hmm.
Killed.
I didn't know what they did. A wellness check on you?
No, it was not a wellness check. No, it was not.
Oh.
It was a swatting call. I want to make sure that is very clear. This lady called into the police department and said that I am going to off myself online in front of witnesses. That's what she told the law. That is not a wellness check. A wellness check is saying, hey, you know what? I heard through the grapevine that there was something going on with this girl, or I saw that she's been a little unstable here lately, and I'm very concerned for her well-being. Can somebody just go by there and check on her and make sure she's okay? That's a wellness check. Telling law enforcement that I'm online and going to off myself with witnesses is much different than what any reasonable person would perceive as a wellness check.
Did you pull the FOIA? You know who it was?
Oh yeah, I got it right here.
That's sad.
That's how I know who it was that called and know exactly what they said, because the lady tried to reach out to me and give me the sob story, and I told her straight to her face, I do not believe you. I do not believe you. Nobody from that side, that group, is going to be that so heavily invested in my health, especially, and I even put the Titan as a prime example, you know, because they were joking about how they wish that I was on the Titan. That's that submersible that went down into the water that imploded. So if you're talking to somebody that wanted me dead in the bottom of an ocean, why all of a sudden on the 5th of December, they're so concerned about my health and well-being?
I never knew they said that. See, I don't know. I just try to stay away from it, because if I
didn't stop their group.
In it.
Yeah, it didn't stop their group from going and getting messaging from behind the scenes and all going out there just like good little soldiers and putting out that it was a wellness check. It was a wellness check. Oh, we need to start bringing alerts to this wellness check. Let's cut and paste. And everything that they cut and paste had me talking about a conversation about what I thought people were doing. I never once, as a matter of fact, I said, I just want to make sure everybody knows I'm a well-bodied and healthy individual. This is what I think they're going to do. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is the intent. The intent was not my well-being, nor has it ever been my well-being from them. Their intent is to humiliate, destroy, and cause personal, professional, and financial harm to me at any and all costs. They have been doing this stuff and campaigning behind the scenes for over a year. I can only prove about a year of it, actual year of the conspiring. So that's what I'm doing. And, you know, it sucks, but this is where we're at. And people need to wake up and realize They were being lied to. Yes, these things really did happen. This court thing that they keep trying to tell everybody is a joke, that I think this is a joke and a bad Betty, let me con you out of $40,000 because I can't keep my mouth shut. Joke? No, this has never been a joke to me. You've never seen me on here laughing. You've never seen me laughing about this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, I oppose it. I've come out here. I've spoken about it. I say no to online bullying. Those channels are not drama channels. Those are hate and bully channels. Hate and bully channels. When you spend 5 hours condemning people every single day, you are brainwashing your audience. You are brainwashing them.
agree.
You are manipulating them. You are inciting your audience. You are the gun. They are the bullets. And I was the target.
I like that analogy. I never heard that before. But I don't know. The thing to me too is like, is the why? Like, why did they just single you out? Like, you weren't the only one
That's
in
what
Georgia.
I'd like to know.
You and
And I'll
Dolly
never
weren't
know unless I
playing the
bring this
baby.
lawsuit. Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, it's all stupid. And then it's like
It's all lies.
professionals that
all
are
lies.
trying to do this to you.
These are not professionals. These are freaking people that have no college education, barely a high school education. Most of them have felonies and criminal histories. They don't even have, half of them don't even have cars. I mean, you're talking
Wait, I
about
thought-
a squad of people that need to worry about getting their own lives together before they worry about mine, is all I'm saying.
Yes, the community that I came from, the reason why I started this channel, because the drama and the taking up for myself and all that. Sherry that's where I met Sherry, in that community. She was bullied so bad that she tried to take her own life and almost succeeded. She was in really, really bad shape from bullying on YouTube. And she wasn't a creator. All she was a sub.
That's awful. And that's why I keep saying, this. That's why I want to make sure that this doesn't stop here. I want to make sure that we make YouTube start enforcing some of these. This is dangerous. I know for a fact what I went through, and I know for a fact, had I not been a well-bodied individual, God knows what my fate would have been at the hands of these animals. Mm-hmm. I'm very thankful that I'm good. I'm good. I don't know what else to say. Has this stressed me out and put a toll on my life? Yes, it absolutely has. My mom getting phone calls, her getting packages, people showing up at my sister's house, people showing up here, people putting maps to my house. I mean, being swatted. Like people have no idea what I went through, because these people are trying to convince their audience that I'm lying, because I'm a big old fat liar, because they painted me as a big old fat liar for the last 2 years, that I can't be trusted. They manipulated their audience, telling them I'm a liar. So when I tell them what's going on to me, everybody thinks I'm crazy.
Why can't you be a little skinny liar instead of a big fat liar? I can't be.
I don't know. PC culture wanted me to be a fat liar instead of a skinny liar. Don't know.
And another thing that, before I forget, I wanted to say is that I don't agree with you having to prove every single thing you do. Like, oh my God, you didn't make that food. You ordered it.
Yeah, this is what the problem is that you give into them. You say, if they push you and pressure you to provide the receipt, then they're going to expect it each and every time. And I'm sorry, they do not deserve that from me. They're not participating in my chat. They're not sponsoring any family. They're not sponsoring me. They're not sponsoring any of the work that we're doing. All they're doing is constantly complaining about it. The people that pay for this and help support this, if they came to me for receipts, I would happily give it over to them and them alone. Not for YouTube, not for publicity, not for this. If the people that are donating to this work wants to see where the money's going, I can guarantee you I will show them each and every receipt of where the money is going. But let me put it this way. So far, I'm not using other people's money. That's a misconception. because I've been earning all of my money through ad revenue and memberships. Ad revenue and memberships. My money, not money that's been donated to me, not money that, and the money that is donated to me typically comes with, please use as you see fit.
It doesn't matter. A donation is a donation.
Doesn't matter. This is my money that I've earned from my channel, no matter how it's earned from my channel. It's my channel. It's derived from mine. But we do so much with our work. Think about how little we make and how much of a big impact that is from great planning, great budgeting. Trust me, I am a budgeter. I'm a cheap bitch. And so sometimes you need that, because I don't make a lot of money here. And so for me to be out in Idaho spending $5,000, that $5,000 takes a while to save up and to get up. You know, it's those 2 trips cost me 10 freaking grand right at the end of 2002, right before Christmas. $10,000 we dropped.
I think that's why I got like, I don't want to say attracted, but like pulled towards you, because that's how I want to be. But I'm also, I can be a hardened bitch, but I can be your best friend. Whichever I am is up to you. Come to my family. Oh no, baby. If my whatever you just said happened to my family, I would not have taken it as well as you did. I would have been at their house. Nope. See, you too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's not worth. But see that now that people are fine. I mean, it was getting so bad, I had no choice. Like I said, it was getting really bad, and everybody's saying that I didn't have a choice. And now they're seeing why I didn't have a choice, because it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And the less I talk about it, the less, the more it keeps happening, because what they want is the attention. So I'm not going to give it the attention. People know that it happens. Cops were called. We've got cops investigating in 2 separate districts. We've got, I've got everybody that needs to be on the horn with it. Is anything going to happen to this lady? Probably not, if she just leaves me alone. If she continues her harassment, then yeah, there's going to be some major problems she's going to have to face. But I think at this point, she heard me loud and clear. I think she's just going to leave me alone and, just move on, which is what I wish these people would do. They're adults. I mean, if you don't like content, guess what? You're in control of that. I don't know if people realize that or not. Like, you make the decision to tune in to Bullhorn Betty. So if I'm driving you nuts and you're still tuning in, then you're probably just fucking nuts. Just saying.
Okay, I know I am, but still. Sherry actually lives where Lori Vallow is right now. I told her to go visit her, and she told me no.
See, I want to go. I would go to Arizona. I really would. But you know what? What I want to do more than anything is I want to go out there for the 28th to watch the demolishment of that house. But it's going to be entirely too difficult to raise the money in time, 3 days after Christmas, to get out there. And 2, I don't know how I feel, because I'm so somber, and I don't think this is a good idea. I think this is a poor decision. I think this is a decision being made due to budget constraints of the university. I think that really truly is why. Because what's the difference of that house being there or a memorial garden being there? It's still going to remind you of them. It's still going to remind you of the event. I don't get it. It's word salad.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that yesterday or the day before. I don't remember. But to me, maybe they're looking at it as maybe an eyesore, even though what happened there, and maybe a memorial garden would look better than a.
But I think it might be the eyesore, the boarded up house with the fence around it. But I think it's more so because they've been having it manned. It's been over a year. They've had a manned patrol on that house, because you're talking about university kids that get drunk and want to do stupid shit like break into the murder scene house, so they've got to keep it under constant surveillance. And I think it's taking its toll on its university. in addition to it being, boarded up and stuff like that. But again, this isn't about the university. It ain't about the feelings of the students. It's about what is in the best interest of the victims, and how, obviously people are still going into the house even a year later, getting measurements, getting this, getting that. So obviously the house still has some value in it. Otherwise, if it had no value in it whatsoever, they would have just turned it down and said, no, we have everything we need from that house. Go ahead and take it down. But that's not what they said. Every person, the FBI went in there. Now the defense went in there. It still holds value.
Even after the fact, they wrote a letter saying that y'all can do what y'all want to do with the house. We're done with it or whatever. Here it is. And now all of a sudden they're, what if they would have demolished it back in October? Was it September, October, when they were talking about demolishing it? And then they said they would wait because the trial was supposed to start in January or whatever. But yeah, what would they have done if they would have demolished it before? And then I wanted to ask you, when you were talking about it when you were live, is the house in any kind of shape to have a jury go in there safely, look around an empty house with nothing in it that's going to sound totally different than a furnished house? Besides looking at, the rooms and the floor plan, actually being in the house itself, what else would it accomplish?
There's things that are attached. We have our senses, we have our gut instincts. We do have instincts. These are things that give us this weird feeling, either good or bad, right? It's our instincts. We can be in a place that looks friendly, and we can have this gut instinct with no reason whatsoever saying, get the hell out of there. And you know what? We trust our instinct and say, get the hell out of there. So one of the things that it does is it gives you the sense of the house, the feeling that those jurors, you can't get any place else. One of the reasons why I go and put my boots on the ground in places is because I have learned a long time ago, reading stuff in the articles, you're getting somebody else's opinion of that, or their observations of that. Their observations and how you perceive things could be totally opposite. For example, Brian Enton in the Spread Creek is a prime example. Brian Enton was at Spread Creek where Gabby Petito was. And he's like, all you had to do was cross over a stream. It's only 600 yards from, or whatever, 100 yards from where the truck was last seen. You don't realize how far away that is until you're there in person. You don't realize how hard it is to cross those streams to get there until you're there in person, because he made it look so easy. And then when you get there and you look and you're like, did he dump her here? You start having all sorts of other questions that you weren't hearing from somebody else's observations of the area. You just get these senses. You get these senses that you're not going to get by looking at a video. Them going in the house and getting a sense of how the house truly is designed all around them. The reality of it, not the virtuality of it, the reality of it, seeing those blood stains firsthand. Do I think it has benefit? I absolutely do. Is it something the jury's going to see? We don't know whether they're going to see it or not. Do I think they can enter the home safely? I do, because we've watched FBI enter safely. We watched the defense team enter safely. So I absolutely believe that the jury can enter safely. That safely is definitely, they definitely could. A lot of the areas that they that had blood and stuff like that most likely were cut out. I say blood stains and stuff like that, but it's just for for people listening to understand what I'm trying to convey. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to be removed from that home. They probably took all the drains out of the home to see if he washed his hands and may have left DNA in the drains. They probably have all the door handles off, every single one of the doors. They probably, they probably have big holes cut into the drywall of where there was blood, or something that could be perceived as blood, or something that could be perceived as some type of forensic evidence. So they're cutting all of that drywall out of the wall and sending it off to the crime lab to be analyzed. You got the carpets and the hardwood floors being cut out and pulled up to send to the lab to see if there's any blood or DNA or anything like that. So this house is cut all to pieces. Could the jury safely go in there? Yes. Is it going to give them the appearance of what it was that night? Absolutely not. It will not. I mean, there's too many pieces missing. Like I said, most likely door handles, wood, carpet, hardwood flooring, drywall. I mean, this house is probably looks like Swiss cheese on the inside, to be honest with you.
That's why I was asking, because that's a lot
but
of
I think the sense is really, you know, like even the jury going out to the Murdaugh, the dog kennels, you know, it was for them to get the sense of the area. I really feel when they put their feet on that ground, the ground spoke to them. Just like I truly believe that when the jury goes into that house at 1122 King Road, that house will speak to them. I believe there's something that we don't, you know, this instinct that we don't understand what that instinct is, but we do have this nagging feeling in our gut in certain situations. And that's what I'm hoping will be instilled in the jury when they go inside that home, if they go inside that home.
Can I ask you I'm going to say this. Don't lie to me, Betty. I want your honest opinion. When you think this is going to trial? I say 25.
Actually, I think they're getting fairly close. So we're at the end of 2023. So yeah, I'm end of 2024, beginning of 2025 for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I say too.
Yeah, I think the end of 2024. For whatever reason, I feel like it's going to be kind of a little weird, but I feel like, you know, they had this trial set up for October of 2023 originally, you know, and then he waived his. I have a funny feeling that it wouldn't shock me if we go to trial October 2024 instead of 2023.
Never thought of that.
And it's just coincidence. It's just coincidence and timing. Because when I was doing the timing, I have a funny feeling it's gonna end up hitting in like October or November of 2024. But I wanted to give myself a little window, so I decided to stretch it into January or February 2025.
Come on now, we can't make it a 6. We can't make it a 6 month window.
4 months. 4 months.
It could be April 1st, like Chad. Chad's is April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it's a Fool's Day that day.
April
He's
Fool
probably
for
walking
the
in there
fool.
thinking he's going to walk out.
Yes. When are we going to know about the death penalty thing? Do you know? If when the judge is going to order on if they're going to take it off or not?
For Vallow?
Chad Daybell.
Chad Day. I don't know about Chad Daybell. I don't know. I think they're going after the death penalty for him because
they are, but they're trying to get it taken off because I don't think they're
going to take it off. You got 3 boys there, him planning it. I don't see it happening. If you're going to give Brian Kohberger the death penalty or put the death penalty on the table for Brian Kohberger, which killed adults, but you're not going to do it to a father that brutalized and literally chased his oldest son. No,
not Chad Dorman. Chad Daybell.
Oh, Daybell. That's what I asked you. Are you talking about Chad? And I thought you said Dorman. Yeah, Daybell. No, okay, Daybell. Yeah, I thought you said Dorman because I was talking about Chad Daybell. Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm starting to get delusional.
I know I'm about to end right here. Because I know everybody's going over to Teddo.
Yeah, I'm so tired. I can't.
I think
I'm starting to hear things
coming up here.
Excuse me.
8. It's only 10:30, buddy.
I go to bed at 8:30, so I'm already up 2 hours past my bedtime. I'm in bed by 8 o'clock every night. In the morning,
if she's late in the morning, guys, it's not my fault.
It's all her fault.
But you still look a beauty, miss, even if it's 10:30 at night.
Yeah, but
Thanks
you can
for
start
coming.
seeing when I take my glasses out, you can start seeing the tiredness right in the. You can start seeing the darkness under my eyes. I'm tired. But
Only
anyways,
'cause you're
guys,
playing.
you have a wonderful night.
We will. You too. You better hit the sack and close your eyeballs. I better not
All
see you in
right,
Turtle Island.
yeah,
On
and it
top
was
of
well,
that.
I'll probably go by there and say hi just for a quick second. But I did want to tell you I really enjoyed this. We got to do it again.
Most definitely, I did too, and I'm glad that we got to talk off of, you know, behind YouTube and actually got to see Andra and not Bullhorn Betty. So
They're
yeah.
one and the same, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, but you know.
But that's okay. All right, sweet misery. You take care and God bless.
All right, bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody, I'm going back, lay down and rest, and hopefully test negative really, really, really soon because I just want to feel better. I'm so glad that y'all stayed with me for these 2.5 hours because y'all helped me forget I was sick for a 2.5 hours, and I really, really appreciate that. Please hit that like button for me. Sub up to Bullhorn Betty. If you're not, you probably already are. If you're not, there's 2 channels you need to sub up to. Her main one, Bullhorn Betty, and then the one she's on now, she's using right now is Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories, something like that. The links were posted in chat. However, there won't be a chat because I have to edit this video with the song. So yeah, y'all know how to find her. Bullhorn Betty. Just type it in. It's gonna come up. You already know. Hit that like button for me and have a good night.